Yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back at you, and it's a Monday. Yeah, another weekend of sports. Things still going on, and we know which leads the way. The NBA Finals, an exciting NBA Finals, and they're still talking about ratings being low. People still claiming they're ballers and baller fans, and still not showing up, at least in the ratings. I don't know what this is all about, some type of ridiculous backwards phenomena. Regardless, we have an excellent NBA Finals and two teams who hadn't been there. Well, they haven't been there in a long time. OKC, Indiana haven't been to the finals in a long time. Neither have won a finals. Someone's going to win it, but who the hell is it? What's good?
What's happening? As far as ratings, like, can they be considered the same considering all of the streaming that goes on nowadays? Like, I'm sure people are watching, but not watching ABC or the traditional network.
I thought about that at one time, but I'm thinking now that streaming has been configured into all of this so much lately that they probably would be talking about that as well. You know, you look at the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, it was all streaming. They were able to give you those numbers and tell you exactly who was doing it. And now we're talking about this, which is free, so it's not like people have to do some rigging to get to it, and they're not giving that number. And the traditional numbers, even with that being streaming, what is that you're streaming? If you're in this country, what are you streaming? If it's on ABC, it's freaking free television, and you're supposed to be a baller, you've been watching it all these years that way. Now you decide to do it differently. I just doubt that. And even if it is streaming, it's just not showing up numbers-wise, at least all the metrics they're using. I'm thinking it is traditional. I think there may be something to be said about it being this new age.
I'll tell you what the worst look of this finals is. Punk ass Stephen A playing solitaire on his phone.
Oh, bro, game. They got him. They got him. Yeah, come on.
Like, how can we believe anything he says about the games now? Like, you weren't paying attention.
He's going to message boards.
Middle of the second quarter, middle of the third quarter, whatever it was. I could see during the timeout. I could see pregame. I can even see postgame. You commercial break. You're waiting for them to call. You call your name, whatever. But there's players on the court. You can see them playing. Fuck him, man.
It takes a lot away from him. We know that he is an expert on basketball. At least he played. You don't got to be a star. And we know that. You don't have to be a star player to know what the hell you're talking about in basketball. We've seen that even with some of the best coaches who weren't star players, whether basketball or even football, but they're excellent coaches and they get results. He's one of these guys that knows his basketball, but to get cold like that, playing solitaire, he pretty much accentuates that the public doesn't really want to see this game when in reality it's one of the best finals we've had in a long time.
You know what, man? I've fallen victim to the short attention span crisis that goes on in the country, probably all over the world nowadays. But these games, I watch from start to end.
Yep.
They're competitive. And maybe because I have a rooting interest in the Pacers, you know, if they're down 8, the whole time I'm watching, come on, man, cut the lead down. Don't go down at halftime double digits. You know, I'm always thinking in my head, they got to do something, and then they cut it down. But it's interesting, even if they don't cut it to 2, they're keeping it within striking distance. And you know, if the Pacers are right there at the end, they got a good chance to win it. So I don't understand. These games have been competitive, well played. There's been highlights galore,
storylines, everything.
Yeah. You got the MVP doing his thing, dropping 35. The only other thing I can say about Game 4 is Mathurin had to have money on OKC, man. How do you come out? You're 80-something% free throw shooter, miss 3 out of 4 free throws, sandwiched between or after 2 dead ball fouls, giving them free throws and the ball out of bounds in the 2-point game. That blew the game right there.
I guess when that pressure's on, he can't get the job done because with Indiana, it's always been someone picking up the slack. If it weren't the so-called star players, well, not so-called because Tyrese Halliburton is turning out to be a star player. And even though Siakam has more points in terms of the average for the entire playoffs, more than what Tyrese has. He's not looked at as a star. He's looked at as a pretty damn good player who's playing well in the playoffs. Tyrese is the bona fide star and budding star on his team. Well, budding and now bona fide star on his team. And when it came time for Mathurin to do it, when he was expected to do something because he's shown a little leg and pulled it back the last time, he didn't get the job done. He choked when it mattered. And you know what? Let's also give credit to OKC for what they were able to do and turn the tide on the comeback kid story. They were the ones behind. Now, they were the ones that were behind for a lot of the game, and they pushed forward, got in front, and their momentum couldn't be stopped, and they were able to pull it off. And even though it took SGA some time to really get it together because they picked up where they left off defensively with him, made him have to work. He was tired, but even after the game, he says, I have to push through it. And you saw him push through it. He did it with flying colors.
So a couple of things. I thought OKC did a good job of doing what I suggested they should do, is have somebody else bring the ball up. Williams was bringing the ball up a lot of times, so SGA wasn't having to go baseline to baseline or getting covered full court. So he didn't have to expend as much energy just to get down court as he would if he was bringing the ball up. So I thought he was fresher in the fourth quarter. He might have still been tired, but he was definitely fresher than he was in game 3. But game 4 was lost in the third quarter. They were up 12, I believe, towards the end of the third quarter, and Halliburton went to take his break, and the Pacers' offense just completely shut down. Siakam had the ball. It looked like every possession he was at the top of the key. He either turned the ball over, take a bad shot, and OKC came down and capitalized. And before you know it, I think it was a 4-point game going to the fourth quarter. That's when the game was lost. Pacers had all the momentum.
Yep.
Obi Toppin doing his thing again.
Oh, man, was he?
The crowd going crazy, and then going into the fourth quarter, Thunder like, we're right here. What's up? And they took control at the very end.
Yeah, they did exactly what Indiana's been doing to teams, and including OKC in this series. They turned the tables, and now they showed they could. And that's probably why, and I don't trust Vegas at all in this series or even previous series, because they've been absolutely wrong regardless of who they've been picking. Now they have OKC as a 9.5-point favorite, but that looks like a likely scenario considering they do have some momentum. And the games being played as close together as they are, that is some kind of momentum that can transfer from one game to another, I guess. And OKC playing well at home as they've done. They had that stumble. They now have home court advantage back. Do they play more comfortably at home now because it's at home and because from top to bottom, they have the better team on paper? And when they do play like they're known to play, they get the win. It's a struggle, but they get the win. Whether it's 1 point or 15 points, that's all they need, the win.
I think 9.5 is a lot now.
That is a lot of damn points.
I think that's a lot. I expect the Pacers to be right there at the end again. Like I said, after game 3, I think they figured some stuff out. And I think they still figured it out. It was just that stretch when the Halliburton was on the bench and they kept having Siakam run the offense. I'm like, okay, I can see a couple times he misses a turnaround shot. He turns the ball over. But they kept letting him run the offense, and he wasn't passing it to anybody. It was him. It was him going one-on-one, missing shots and turning the ball over. I think in 5 possessions, he missed 3 shots and turned it over twice. That's how OKC cut into the lead. So other than that, if the Pacers were still playing fast-paced, getting guys good shots, they may not have been able to cut into the lead as easily. I just think the Pacers figured something out. And other than the adjustment of having Williams bring the ball up, which it was a good decision because now SGA will be fresher at the end of games, they still kind of figured out what OKC does and what they can do to OKC.
Yeah. I don't think OKC does anything special. It's just that they have so much depth and they have talent across the board that's better than what Indiana has, well, at least on paper, but when they're really going at it, Indiana seems to have the upper hand most times. It still took some doing for OKC playing the way they played to even win that game. And it wasn't a blowout. It was still a close damn game. And it came down to, I think, more what you said. more of Indiana losing it than OKC winning it, but they still got the win. So that's probably, what that is, what it comes down to. Now, as far as Chet Holmgren, I've been on that bandwagon since a high school kid coming out of Minnesota, going to Gonzaga, knowing that he was going to be a top player. He impresses in the NBA, even in the summer league where he got injured, impressed a little bit, thin, impressed since he's been in the league. He had that one game when he initiated the scoring and they won the game. This time, the past couple of games, he's been pretty damn bad. 44% in this game for someone who's a power forward at 7 feet or over 7 feet, and just 44%. That's not good for a guy who's at the basket that close to the basket, and with the skill set that he has. You see the 3-pointers he goes for. It looks like every shot's a bad shot now. It doesn't go in.
Sometimes the shooters go through bad stretches. All it takes
is a hell of a bad stretch.
And man, all it takes is for him to hit his first 3 tonight, and then it's all forgotten. He might go 4 for 7, and you're not gonna ask what's wrong with Chet anymore.
Oh yeah, I just want to know. I don't even think. Well, I don't know what is wrong with Chet, because he would make those plays before, and when he did assert himself during the playoffs in this championship series, he did make some things happen, and it looked like he tried to do it again early in the series after that, and it didn't. Wasn't consistent with it. He did it in the first quarter, but kind of like was laying back, not because he wanted to, it's because they were playing that suffocating defense to where him or anyone else couldn't really get off the way they wanted to. But now it extended to game 4, and a lot of the same. He's not being as effective. And I'm saying that if he does break out of this and he starts being more assertive and his skill set starts showing through, you're going to see probably this margin of 9.5, 10 points or more. For if all of those players if he and SGA alone got together and just kind of was playing up to the par with the way they play, that's probably the home margin they would have, and home margin being the operative word.
And I'll say this, even though his 3-point shot hasn't been falling, he's still making his presence known on the floor. He's getting rebounds, he's blocking shots.
Yeah.
He's getting putbacks. You still got to deal with him. It helps the Pacers. He's not knocking down his threes, but it's not like they can say, "Oh, we're not worried about Chet." No, you still got to worry about him.
You got to worry about him.
He's doing other things.
Yeah, and to that end, he's a basketball player, not just an offensive basketball player. So if he's not working on the one side offensively, obviously, he's going to bring it defensively, because there was one play, I think Halliburton, he chased him down and got the foul, even though it was a foul, the one they tried to call a flagrant, and it wasn't. He chased him down and made that foul happen. And he could have easily have given up on that play. And you think about the way he goes down the court, this long stride.
I thought Halliburton went weak on that one. 7-1's coming behind. You got to go strong and try and dunk it.
This is the same guy who did it at YMCA dunk when he had the fast break by himself 2 games ago. This guy isn't. I don't think this.
But like I said about that one the other day, it's in the middle of the game. It's not like he's Jordan or LeBron or Kobe, where the crowd's expecting him to give him a highlight breakaway dunk.
Yeah,
there's no need for him to exert that much energy. Just go drop the ball in the hoop.
You just do a finger roll.
But again, when you got 7-1 on your ass, you can't go for a normal layup. You got to go up strong and try and throw it down.
Yeah, and he didn't. But yeah, to Chet's credit, he did go after him. He could have easily have given up on that play. So I guess he does feel, if I'm not giving it offensively, or it's not dropping for me offensively, it's not that he's not giving, it's just not executing defensively. You can control your defense most of the time. That's the one thing you can't control. You can bring your defense with you home and away, and as long as you're willing to put in that effort, you're probably going to get some type of defensive, opportunity. And he's done it. But once again, we're now 2-2. Home court advantage now goes back to OKC. It's at OKC. Big time favorite. You don't think they're going to get there? I don't think so, but all they need to do is win by 1 point anyway. Vegas is pretty irrelevant and has been fairly irrelevant during this series and previous series when it comes to their number. Just the overall game, just looking at how these two teams score. If you're a gambling person looking at 227.5, they don't get there. 223.5, they miss it by half a point. I know that. But they still give you an exciting damn game in between.
Yeah, so I think I'm going with Indy tonight. If Carlisle is smart, he'll do what the Thunder did. Have someone else bring the ball up so Halliburton can rest, and then have him come get the ball once the ball crosses half court. That's what the Thunder were doing with SGA. If he doesn't have to deal with that pressure trying to bring the ball up, he'll be fresher at the end of games. So I think that's a move Carlisle probably will implement. And I can't remember. Was he knocking down his threes the other night? Halliburton?
He was doing okay. He wasn't doing the typical Halliburton, and probably because when he tried to do it near the end of the game, it didn't go in. So people probably remember that more than they remember his nail biters and game-winning three-point shots or game-tying three-point shots.
I tell you who has to step up, though, Miles Turner. He's been pretty much non-existent on the offensive end of the floor.
Now, again, maybe
he's been playing tough defense on Chet. I give him that. But when he's your stretch 4 or maybe even stretch 5, he's got to take some shots. He's got to knock down some threes, man.
Now, look, we talked about last week. He was a bit under the weather, and they talked about it after the game. He was a bit under the weather. They still won. But being under the weather, even for athletes, means that, okay, you're not sick today. You were sick yesterday, but you still have lingering effects. And you do have IVs, and they can get him ready for a game, so he would be better off than a regular person. Maybe that's still hanging over him. Maybe there's still ill effect from being a little sick. But you still gotta suck it up. This is the NBA Finals. There is no going back.
There's no
whatever it is. You got to really put it out there. And if he's going as hard as he can with what he has, that's one thing. If he's kind of holding back because of being sick, it's probably another.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between playing with injury and maybe being a little fatigued. Maybe he loses his wind quickly. I don't know. But, then ask to sit down. Come out the game. Why, if you're not going to do what you normally do, sit your ass down.
Well,
I mean, because when they swing the ball to you and you're supposed to shoot that shot and you swing it to another guy who's covered, what use are you? What good are you to the offense? That's why you're out there, to take that open three when it's there for you. You're the stretch 5. Shoot the fucking ball.
Well, he doesn't want to, apparently. Well, he'll have every opportunity today because of the big break, not big break, but the break they've had. Travel date to get to OKC and get ready for this game 5 tonight. Maybe he'll be back to himself. I will take OKC tonight.
I tell you what, too, if I see McConnell driving to the lane, pump fake, and then shoot that broke-ass turnaround, if I'm Carlisle, come sit down. I told you, don't do that no more. I can see, why are you going to drive into the lane and then pick up your dribble? Either try and finish, go for a shot. You're too small to be trying to pump fake and shoot fadeaways in the paint, man. Come on, man.
I don't know. I'm going with OKC tonight, only because they have home court advantage again, only because I believe they have some momentum. Even though I know and I've seen it, we've all seen how Indiana can come from behind and has the resiliency, all the adjectives that means that, hey, they have just as good, even at this point, a chance of being the champs as OKC. It's just that OKC, I think, with the momentum and SGA being back at home, and they tried their shenanigans last game in Indiana. He was able to overcome it, show himself, and the reason why they won. And he did it later in the game. So it wasn't like, he was just grinding away throughout the entire game. He was, but he really showed up when he had to at the latter part of the game, showing that he does have that toughness and resiliency, the things that made him the MVP. He goes back home, puts on a show for the home crowd, because that is a phenomenal home crowd advantage they do have in OKC. And not that Indiana's not. Indiana's one of those pure, what I call the pure basketball states. There's just a handful of pure basketball states. And, Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina. We know New York and New York City. We know Chicago with Illinois. But those pure basketball states, Indiana's one of them. So those rabid fans that can compete with anything in OKC. It's just that it's still so new to OKC to be in this position, or even to have this team is still relatively young overall. So yeah, I just look at the home crowd advantage as being a real advantage tonight, with that momentum, knowing they took one in Indiana, having a little bit more confidence to move forward now, because I think they even doubted themselves when they had that potential to be down 3-1.
Who, OKC?
OKC, I think they might have even doubted themselves when they were down 2-1 with that possibility of 3-1 until it took SGA, because throughout the game, they were still behind. In the second half is when they started asserting themselves, and then Indiana, as you said, was making the issues, so it was more them losing it than OKC winning it, but the one who won it for them has been the one who helped them win almost all year long.
Right. And I don't mean to sound like I'm throwing shade at Siakam. Siakam's a really good player. He's just not a number one. And I don't think he's the guy who should be running your offense.
He thinks he is. I mean, based on the numbers, he may think he is.
Maybe a couple possessions, but not 5 possessions in a row. No, especially after the first 2, like, okay, let's try something else. No, they just kept going to him. And I think I even mentioned this in past shows. Again, Siakam's a really good player, but he's not a number one. So why would you run the offense through him? You know, what kind of bag does Siakam have? You know, you don't see him putting guys on skates, you know, crossing over. That's not his game. He's a complimentary player.
Yeah, so and that's true. But I'm thinking
for you to
now,
put the ball in his hands at the top of the key and say, "All right, go get us a bucket." I don't think that was a good move on Carlisle's part.
Maybe it had something to do with the way he has been playing. He's had those 30-plus point games, more than even what Halliburton's had throughout the entire playoffs.
But not like that.
He hadn't gotten it that way, but maybe there's like, you know what? Let's see if he can initiate this. And then if he starts out,
he's been in the league a lot of years, man.
He has.
If I know this going before the game, Carlisle should already know it too.
Yeah, but this could be the time, because he's played better in the playoffs than he's played practically all year. He averaged over 20 points a game. Yeah,
20 yards per
right
carry,
around the corner, man. That's right. Football's right around the corner. He averaged over 20 points a game for the season, and now in the playoffs, he's even doing better. So I think, you know, why not give this guy a chance to see if he could be that spark when everybody's expecting Tyrese to hang on to the ball a lot, be the distributor, be the field general. Let's see what he can do. If it didn't work out, then you know you don't use it anymore. And we saw it. It didn't work out. So maybe we get something different tonight, but I think it may be much ado about nothing.
Game 4 of the finals is not the time to say, you know what, let's try something.
Try something new. You got to do something different, because they didn't
have to do anything different. They're up 10 or 12.
They played the defense the way they played in game 3, and it worked up into a point. So I can see if they tried something else different, since the flow was in their favor. It just didn't work out.
Their defense isn't why they lost. It's their offense why they lost.
Yeah, their offense, and that's true. And the offense, especially at the free throw line, though. And that's what really
I do have to say, though, the officiating was a little questionable. Not throughout the game. It wasn't egregious. But when SGA can push off and call.
Bro, the pulling guard play.
Halliburton pushes off and they call it. All we want is consistency on both ends of the court. Yeah. That's all we ask for.
The pulling guard play. Come on, you showed me that.
Yeah, that one too. I forgot about that.
It looks just like he pulled the guard.
How you push a guy with 2 hands in the back and there's no foul?
No foul.
The ball going the other way. Come on,
that
man.
Hole opened up though. That hole was open though. He came through Alan Faneca style, wide gaping hole, pulling out PG point guard, pulling guard.
My friend will probably say, see, he didn't sell the call. If he goes flopping and falls down, they probably would have called it.
Yeah.
But like, why does he have to flop to get the call? 2 hands
it's so blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
These are the playoffs.
Like the ball's coming towards him, he goes flying and the ball goes behind him. How did that happen? Come on, ref.
Well,
and that play right there gave OKC the lead, I believe.
Wow. You know what? I didn't get that deep into it. You just sent me that play and I saw it. It was just funny as hell. And I forgot all about it. I wasn't even thinking about it. And it looked like a pulling guard. And the refs, this is supposed to be the best refs right now in the playoffs, in the finals. These guys that aren't supposed to miss calls like that. And you know you're going to be looked at cockeyed. There's always eyes on coaches and eyes on refs anyway, because they think they're paid and under the take and on the take and all that other nonsense. But yeah, that looked like it was pretty egregious and it should have been called. So yeah, tonight, it's tied 2-2. They're back at OKC. OKC has that momentum. That's probably why we have that 9.5 point line. Can they pull it off? And if they do, I mean, because was it last week you said if OKC wins that game, that now Indiana may be in trouble, as opposed to if Indiana win that game, obviously up 3-1, OKC is certainly in trouble going back to OKC.
Which game you talking about? Game 4?
Yeah, you said because
definitely. If the Pacers, they had control of that game. I'm not gonna say they had their foot on their throat or they had their hands around their throat, but they had control of that game. Yeah, we'll get to the trade.
Yeah, I was about to talk about that. I was going to put a lid on this and talk about that because they
had control of that game, and if they maintain control throughout, and let's say win by 7 or 8, I think a doubt does creep in because OKC be like, damn, like they just before they came back on us, and now they just went almost wire, and we couldn't make a run. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. They just beat us. And you're down 3-1, and you're thinking, all right, can we win 3 games in a row?
Yep. Difficult.
There's no way you can't help but question that.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
And now they're 2-2, and I think they do have that momentum. They do know that they can withstand that defensive push, which Indiana is not the defensive team that OKC is, but Indiana has proven that when they really put their mind to it, it's like right before tip-off, coach said, don't forget, play as hard as you can defensively. Typically, when a coach does that late before a game, that's on your mind, and you make that effort, and it was a concerted effort for them to do it, and we saw how it happened in Game 3. I think a lot of it even happened in this game, and it proved in the beginning, and it kind of waned at the end, and with all these other problems they made for themselves. You know, their shooting was pretty bad in the beginning as well. But anyway, you want to talk about this big trade that was made with Desmond Bane going from Memphis to Orlando, and Orlando.
Do you think Bane's worth everything they gave up?
That's what I'm saying. How is KD or even Giannis not worth 4 unprotected first round picks? 4 of them unprotected. That means that Orlando has so much confidence in themselves. They don't believe they're going to be in the lottery, so they don't have to worry about lottery picks. That's what I guess they figure. And I'm
Scott wants to come in.
Yeah, we put that link in. Put the link in the chat so that Scott can make his voyage into the abyss. But yeah, that's a hell of a damn trade. I mean, with Giannis and even an old KD, you telling me you couldn't package that for them? I mean, seriously. And looking at Cole Anthony, who I've been saying for 3 years was going to get traded, and now Caldwell Pope, he's traded as well. So you give away Caldwell Pope, you give away Cole Anthony, you give away 4 unprotected first rounders for Desmond Bane, who just signed a huge contract of his own, over $200 million.
They must have something else in the works where they're going to trade Ja and get 4 picks back or something, because that doesn't make sense to me. Like initially I thought, okay, KCP, he's a guard with experience, championship experience, plays defense, can shoot. That's a good addition. But then you give up 4 draft picks unprotected.
Oh crap! Like, that's what blew me.
How else do you intend to add to your roster?
Well,
KCP is not enough to take you to the championship.
Well, the deal as far as money goes, because Cole Anthony signed that contract just 2 seasons ago, $13 million in his contract. Pope had, I think, $16 million in his contract, or $21 million plus on his contract. So the numbers matched up there, and you get this. How the hell, first of all, when I'm looking at these salaries, how the hell is Jalen Suggs, who can't do anything other than defense intermittently, how is he getting $35 million a year? How? He just came into the league the same when I think the year before Chet Holmgren came into the league. Yeah, it was the year before. He was supposed to have taken over for Cole Anthony anyway.
The new CBA opened the door to that.
And 25% of the salary cap is going to Franz Wagner. 25%. He's the one who's leading the entire team right now in salary. Not that he's bad, but come on, we already know you're not throwing the money around for nothing. And he's developed with Orlando.
I think Bane's a good addition to that squad. I don't know if they'll have enough depth, but they still got the draft and free agency, so they can add to the roster.
So I'm thinking Jalen Suggs is gone. That's what I'm thinking. With that $35 million, I think he's expendable. Get him out of there, free up that money, or whatever. If you're going to do a trade, whatever, I think you can bring in something better depending on who it is for that kind of money, of course. So yeah, if you get rid of him and have that $35 million available, you could find some pieces. But in the NBA, if it's going to be a trade, it has to match salaries.
Yeah, I've heard they might have another move. And
they
by
have
the way,
to. He's the move.
The Magic or the Grizzlies?
The move. And like you said, Caldwell Pope, he was just making too much. So they kind of had to move him. And that was part of all the pieces they gave away. Obviously, they're in win now mode. Is Desmond Bane enough to do it? I kind of doubt it. But, I mean, I think the East is changing in a way. Unfortunately, I think the Celtics are going to move a lot of pieces. Who knows where they'll end up. I don't think the coach is that good either. But, yeah, Desmond Bane, I think, is underrated by a lot of people.
No, I think he is. He did his thing when Ja was out.
Yeah. I mean, he's a career. He's about a 40% three-point shooter for his career. And he's close to 50% regular field goal range. So he's a quality player. He brings a lot of offense. But the Orlando team is building their identity around defense. And so he's seen as a definite, defensive addition to them, and as well as offense. So he's seen as a two-way threat.
You add him to Boncaro and Wagner. I always want to call him Wagner.
Hans and Franz, baby.
Hans and Franz Wagner. The German connection.
They have potential to put up a lot of points now.
Yeah.
And also, when you look at the money part of it, the reason why I think Jalen Suggs has to go, I mean, $35 million is insane, is because let's not forget with all of this money coming in, and they're getting rid of, because if you just looked at it and thought that Bane, with his big contract he just got, and you see how much he's getting paid a year, and you look at the luxury tax and you think they're going to be there for the next 10 years because of it, they've gotten rid of those salaries, or at least a big portion of that salary, by getting rid of Cole Anthony and also getting rid of, Pope. But then next year, Boncaro's getting the super max. That's another part of the puzzle too. He's getting the super max.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's that good. And Jalen Suggs hasn't been bad. He just hadn't been healthy. He's never there.
Defensively, he's been good. Offensively, he has not. And, I have a friend of mine who's a huge
point guard.
Who's a huge Orlando Magic fan. And he goes to the media days. He does all of that. He has season tickets. And he just knows basketball. He's talking about how this guy has, when he had his opportunities to be the point guard they brought him in to be, they switched him to shooting. He's good defensively, but then it's intermittent there. He said offensively, he just cannot run. They gave him every opportunity. He just cannot run an offense. He can't be effective doing it for the long term. And that $35 million is not just for defense. You got to go.
Yeah, and that's another thing about Bane. I mean, he can play the point as well as the shooting guard. So
yes, he can.
He brings at least two dimensions on offense as well as defense.
So do you guys think the Grizzlies are blowing it up?
When they get rid of Ja, they've blown it up. If they got rid of Ja with that huge contract. Huh?
They haven't gotten rid of him, have they?
No, he's still there.
So, and now they've got these 4 picks. So, I mean, I guess they're planning on the future. And I guess he's younger than Desmond Bane is. So, they're just planning for the future, I guess.
Yeah, but they're still young because, remember, not too long ago, 3 seasons ago, Memphis was one of the youngest teams in all the NBA. They're just 3 years younger, still one of the youngest teams in the NBA. I mean, you look at Houston and Detroit, young teams like that, Orlando, young team like that. They're around that in Minnesota, a lot of these young teams. But yeah, I think that Memphis, if they blow it up, if they do anything with Ja, that means they're blowing it up. He's the linchpin of that entire organization. He was brought in to be the franchise. He lived up to expectations. It's the idiocy off the court is where he's at right now.
On the court this year.
I think the best spot for Ja is in Chicago.
You know what?
That's where you are.
The Derrick Rose vibe. You bring back that Derrick Rose vibe.
I think that's a good spot for Ja.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yo, bro, the Derrick Rose vibe, man. You're like, we got Derrick Rose 2.0. Let's see if he can behave himself. Man, he might end up becoming a drill rapper up there, man.
You know the trouble he's been in the past. And apparently he made some type of gun move or whatever, something with his hands. And they fined him for that, and he did it again.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. He's a 10-cent head. 10-cent head. He has money to pay the 10 cents, so he keeps doing it.
Yeah. $1,000 haircut, $10 head.
But you mentioned the Timberwolves. Did you hear KD doesn't have the T-Wolves on his list?
He has 3 teams from what I heard on his list.
Right. Not including the Timberwolves.
Not including, and that's crazy.
The Heat, I know the Heat was one.
See,
I don't understand
do
why.
you think he doesn't have? You think the reason why he doesn't have the Timberwolves is because of Anthony Edwards and because they think that he's trying to join another super team? To a degree, he still wants to get that championship without being a super team, but having just good players.
Well, if that's the case, he should join the Raptors or somebody. I mean,
no, that's a bad team.
That's what I'm saying.
You just want to join some
you really
good
want
players.
to prove yourself, go to a bad team, not a playoff
He ain't
team.
got no time for that, man. He about
I'm
to
just
retire.
saying. So no, I don't agree with that.
No one wants
He's
to see
not trying
the Grady Dick
to cement his
KD action.
legacy. He's not trying to prove himself. I think it's just for whatever reason.
Go to Charlotte for that.
Whoever's on those particular rosters, maybe it has to do with the city itself. For what I don't know the reasons are, but it's definitely not to cement his legacy.
One of the teams that you had talked about, Trav, is the Spurs, and it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder what Wembanyama's health is like.
Wow, yeah, I haven't heard
much about him.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem too bad. I know it was. I mean, it was like a clot, but it was in his shoulder. So
yeah, bro, a clot anywhere is a bad deal because if it's there, it can also be somewhere else, like Chris Bosh.
Now that was closer to his lung, but
a clot's going to end. It's not just going to just centralize, be one place. It typically just like the clots travel. Remember that.
They can move, yeah. But I'm wondering if I'm Houston or I'm San Antonio, do I want him, especially if I'm Houston? Because I feel like they're close.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because I think a lot of people are talking KD to Houston, and Jalen Green says he doesn't want to leave. It's not up to you. It's not up to you.
Yeah, these guys don't want to leave, bro. Upper management think you're going to leave and they think they can do better without you and use you as a pawn. That's what's going to happen. These players rarely have the opportunity to decide where they're going to be unless you're just a mega superstar. And even or LeBron, like right now, even as an older player, still kind of dictates where he comes and goes. Yeah, these younger players, I don't think too many of them have that kind of clout right now.
Yeah, definitely not Jalen Green.
Jalen Green. I don't want to leave. I want to retire here. You think by saying that they're just going to say, "Oh, his heart is in the right place. Let's keep him here." No, they're going to get rid of you. They can find
Jalen Green or KD? Well, let me see.
Right?
They've got
even an old KD,
at least offensively.
But all KD has to do is get him one
championship.
He can get him one, and now the rest of the guys. I mean, Amen Thompson, he's only like 20, 21 years old.
Young, man.
You know, that championship experience for him at that age, man, he's got a lot of years ahead of him. So all he has to do, in my opinion, is get the Rockets one, and he's done his job because he can go somewhere else, he can retire, and now that whole roster has championship experience.
That's damn true, man. That Houston team, didn't they have the second best record in the West this year? Mm-hmm. Which is surprise. I mean, that's a huge surprise. I mean, just a handful of years ago, they were at the bottom of the barrel, man, completely. With Chris Clemens, an undrafted player, making their team and making noise while he was there until he got a little bit of injury and they just threw him out of there. But yeah, to see that they come, I thought them in Detroit, and I thought actually Detroit would be going ahead further than them with Kate Cunningham. I thought he was going to lead the way, and he's doing it for Detroit, just not at the speed and the success that was happening now in Houston.
Yeah, and they've got
putting in points.
Houston's got a good scoring center anyway. I don't
Şengün, how old is he? He's pretty like 21.
He seems pretty young, doesn't he? But what I was thinking, the other thing with Houston is they've got that great coach. They've got the coach the Celtics won, Ime Udoka or whatever his name is.
They denied the Knicks access to speak to him.
But I mean, come on now. Like I said last time, the Knicks keep asking teams that already have coaches under contract. So they're looking like they're getting just dismissed by everybody because these coaches want to do it. When they said that Jason Kidd had a mutual interest with the Knicks, and then Dallas says you can't because he's under contract to them. They dictate where you're going.
What if the Knicks say we'll give you Karl Anthony Towns if you let us have your coach?
Nah, because I don't think that's addition by subtraction. Then you're losing a player and a coach, and this is still
I'm
a
just
player's
saying
league.
or do they have draft picks to give up?
Nope.
I don't know if the Rockets want draft picks. They already have a pretty deep roster.
Yeah. OKC. I think OKC has some draft picks too.
Yeah, Sengun, however you say his name, he's only 22, but now they also have Fred VanVleet on their starting roster, who's still damn good, but he's 31. Yeah, he's been around a bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's been around the world, and man, come on. That guy's been around for a while. I don't know.
He's still solid, man.
No, solid, exactly. We have a lot of solid players in the NBA now. Star players, yeah, and athletic players, yeah. Like an Obi Toppin, who's still young, who I don't think he'll ever be a star. I hope he does because he has that excitement. I think his skill set still has to catch up to his athleticism. He gives you these spurts, he gives you these moments where he just makes these incredible plays that usually alley-oops, but it gets the crowd into it. It rejuvenates the crowd and rejuvenates the team, and we've seen them going on runs based on his actions. Man, I just want to see other star players, and this draft here isn't helping a damn thing, with Cooper Flag being the only exception. Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son. I'm talking about the draft. Cooper Flag, man.
Well, I think the issue with stars is like
he's a star player waiting to happen.
Wait, Jimmy Butler
got
that
guy from the Gators. Come on.
Jimmy Butler got hurt the first series. Then the second series, Steph Curry got hurt. So the Warriors got bounced. Jason Tatum, the Celtics were probably going to get bounced anyway, but he tore his Achilles. He's out. LeBron got bounced. The stars just got beat.
Yeah, older stars too.
Yeah,
so it's more older stars.
Lillard he had an Achilles. Milwaukee got beat. Speaking of Milwaukee, they're saying Giannis is saying he hopes to be back with the Bucks now.
He sees what's out there, man. He's like, damn, man, looking pretty rough out there. I'm not going to get what I want.
Holiday, and they're looking for Josh Hart, which I would hate to see Holiday go, but Hart would, Hart's a younger.
If they trade Holiday, there won't be no more chips.
What's that?
If they trade Holiday, they won't get any more chips.
Yeah, I'm thinking they may not anyway. But Josh is a good, he's about almost a decade younger than Drew. But yeah, and I'm trying to think who's the other person they're looking to. Oh well, they're trying to move the unicorn.
Kristaps Porzingis again.
Porzingis, yeah.
Porzingis is like moving around. This guy's becoming another Van Fleet. The way he's moving around everywhere. He's been with the Knicks, Dallas, Washington. Now
tell him to give Dunleavy a call. He'll
take him.
Hey,
he won't even play center. He'll still be a power forward.
What a tough guy Van Fleet is, because that year that Toronto won it all, his player went up above him, came down, elbowed him right above the eye, dude.
Yeah.
And he was out there. They patched him up. He was out there like the next play. I mean, that is painful. Elbow coming down.
Look what Aaron Gordon did. The way he tried to save himself and save his team, coming back with injury, playing the entire game. He was a scratch up until game time, showed up with a bad hamstring. And if you ever had a hamstring, anything wrong with it, you know that you shouldn't be playing basketball, especially on a hardwood floor. That's serious business. And he pulled it up, so he was able to suck up and be a hell of a player.
A grade 2 hammy strain.
It's a damn tear. Grade 2 is a small tear. Come on. Anything wrong with you? I've had hamstring injuries before. And nobody's even injuries. It was just pulls. Like slight pulls. And it's man, let alone the Charlie horses you get on there. It's serious business. You get Charlie horse on there, man. You want to piss on yourself. Come on. But anyways, God, I'm glad the past couple of weeks now we've been able to talk a lot of NBA, because this past season we hadn't talked a lot of NBA at all because it's been so mundane, boring, and everything
like
else.
October through April,
April's terrible. Nothing.
Basketball.
I'm thinking with Luka going to the Lakers, I thought would really give a little percolation to this, but nothing percolated for a little while. It did, but then
speaking of Luka, I just saw a video said he's enjoying his summer. They showed him it looked like a fast food restaurant, emptying his tray at the garbage.
McDonald's commercials in Serbia.
Oh man, see, because they released a video, and it reminded me of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Oh God,
That's the guy posting the most workout videos and still showing up to fights out of shape.
overweight.
So
Come
they
on.
showed Luca working out, doing his thing. It was like a 20-second video. I was like, man, he don't even look sweaty. He just did that shit for the video. He ain't really working
That's
out.
it.
I ain't
Yeah,
falling
he's
for
heading to
it. I ain't
McDonald's,
falling
man.
for it.
Yo, but it was like Mike Tyson's videos where he was about to fight Jake Paul. All of those little short videos they were
Yeah,
showing
the
of a
5-second clip. Blah, blah,
maybe a
blah, blah.
60-year-old dude, or like and then
The
showing
guy's
videos
not
of
punching back, man. Of
Well,
course he's
showing
not.
videos
wrong.
of Michael Jack Johnson from 1985. Bro, what the hell this got to do with anything?
They got
Come on,
everybody.
man.
I don't know about you guys. They got me fired up for it. They got other people fired up. I was worried about Tyson, and I
Oh, no,
talked
bro,
to other
they
people.
did.
They're like,
I was a
"Oh,
sucker.
have you seen those Netflix videos? He's in good shape." And I'm like,
Yeah.
Come on.
Tony talked me into
Like,
this. Tony said he wasn't going to do it. Then he said, yo,
in the
come on, let's do
90s,
it for the old guys.
if he didn't have the energy to fight past 2 rounds when he was still relatively young and active, how's he gonna have the energy to fight? Slipping and ducking
Yep,
and countering
exactly,
for
man.
12 rounds.
I thought
when
the
he's
rest would
58
help.
years old. Ain't no
I thought
way.
the
Come on,
15-year
man.
rest would help, but it didn't. It didn't work
yeah, a
out.
bunch of old heads like me getting nostalgic. He's going to beat out this young
Hey,
punk.
we're not the only ones. Over 50 million people tuned into that damn fight. Netflix got exactly what they wanted because if even 10% became new subscribers, they hit the jackpot.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, anyway, we talking about this, that. Well, the NFL coming up. Hey, let's talk a little NFL.
No, before
Travis
the
Hunter.
NFL, no. We
Bro,
got to talk.
bro, it's next freaking month.
Fuck the NFL.
We
Fuck
have-
the NFL.
yo,
It's June.
We have
It's
SEC
June.
Media
Fuck
Day
the
next
NFL. There ain't no
Media Day
major
next month.
news. Major news. Caitlin Clark comes back.
Bro,
Drops
forgot about Caitlin
32, 7 threes,
come on
and
now.
4 from the fucking parking lot.
Hey, Caitlin Clark is serious. I think she's the best player in the WNBA. I know people can talk to me about it the other day, saying, hell no, she's not. There's still Aja Wilson, where they want to call her these days, Aja Wilson. But she's doing so many different things. Yeah, they talk about her defense is shoddy. She still gets her steals. She still gets blocked shots for a 6-foot guard. But her three-point shooting, her efficiency's gotten better. Coming back after all of these missed games and to drop 32, almost getting a triple-double, and beating the once undefeated Liberty, the defending WNBA champs, the ones they lost to the last time. So this is a second game against this team, and they were able to beat them. And they, at the end, pulled away significantly in order to do it. And Caitlin Clark ran it like a maestro.
It reminded me of her days in Iowa. Like she actually looked like she was back at playing for the Hawkeyes, Lady Hawkeyes, because she, like I said, she hit 4 from the parking lot. She had 3 on 3 straight possessions. The first one, I was like, damn,
3.
that's a bomb.
I think like 23 seconds. She like
it was
3
all net. I think it was 38 seconds.
Something like that.
First one was all net from like 40 feet. Second one, a little bit further, all net. When she took the third one, I was like, there's no way. They all net. I was like, oh shit.
She's Steph Curry, the man.
Fire.
She's feeling it.
Right. It was crazy, man.
She went in her bag, and I tell you, when the team was trying to hold serve while she was out, and they were just doing as best they could. They got some win, but they probably, they lost more. They were under 500 without her. Now she comes back, a completely different team. And they can't tell me that. No one can tell me that she's means more to her team than probably any player in the WNBA. They're drastically different in every facet without her. If you take certain players out of their game, if you took Aja Wilson off her team, you're not going to get the rebounds. You're probably not going to get the points. But they're still the point guard going to still do what they've been doing. Now with her, she's passing because she's the point guard. She's efficient now. The 7 turnovers, she's getting back to that. You could probably say Russ because she's been good with the turnover this year compared to last year. But this game, I think she had 7 turnovers, and that had more to do, I think, with the Russ coming back in. But that shooting, rested legs, she was able to shoot, and we saw how effective she was shooting. It's because of the legs. Anytime you can shoot like that, you got some damn good legs. She got the rested legs and did it the same way she did last year after that break from the Olympics. She came back playing a lot better.
I think she was channeling Reggie Miller, like pulling the heart out of the Knicks' chest and showing it to him.
You know what? And you know what?
With her 9 assists, she had 50 plus points. She was responsible for the other day.
Yeah, again. And by the way, she wasn't at the game, I think, with the last game with Indiana Pacers.
Game
I think
4?
because she was prepared for our next game the next day. Was she at that game? Because they were
I
undefeated
don't-
while she was there. They
I
lost the
don't
game
remember
because
seeing her.
I don't think she was there. They would have shown her. So she played the final game. The next day, they played in Indiana. They get their win, so that Bainbridge Arena got their win after all. They didn't get it with the Pacers, but they got it with the Fever. I should have worn my Fever jersey today. Feeling a little Caitlin Clarkish. Yeah, I got that joint last year.
Also have to
in May, got it
mention-
in August on back order, whatever.
I also have to mention, because we give her a lot of hell on this show.
Screw her.
Bravo Angel Reese, you got a triple-double, and you finally impacted the game and got a W. Took a while, but
Bro,
you did it.
We are talking about the Dallas Wings, the worst team in the WNBA, along with
They still
Connecticut.
won.
I know,
They
I understand.
had 2 victories going in. Now they got 3. So
Now they got 3.
But
against
that's
the worst
my
team in the
thing.
WNBA.
I say her double-doubles mean nothing because she doesn't impact the outcome on the court.
And they're me
She had a
down.
triple-double, and she impacted the result
She
on the
impacted the
court.
game. And I'm
So,
hearing people.
I'm giving her props.
Yeah, and I've seen people break down how she did it and how she looked refined in that one game. It just happens to be against the worst team, but how she was actually reading the ball and being opportunistic with the assist and not missing as much and being much more efficient than she used to be. So yeah, give her props. You
It
shall.
would behoove her to get a rebound and kick it out instead of throwing up 3 more bricks.
Oh my God, the way she just throws it up there, it's like a magician. She just throws it up there and hopes it goes in. And most times it doesn't. And for someone as tall as she is in this league, where let's call a spade, the entire league is not very good at all. It's getting a lot of attention because of Caitlin Clark. But when you watch these games, and now we've been forced to watch these games because of Caitlin Clark, you're getting to see some pretty bad basketball, man. When these girls go in their run of missing shot after shot, layup after layup, gimme after gimme, they're missing it. There would be assist end up in the third row. I mean, come on, man. This is
bunch of plumbers playing the W.
That's funny that you guys got forced. You guys have been forced into watching them. I haven't been forced into watching any of them.
No,
I'm not forced into watch.
Bad
I choose to watch Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
I know
she's
you
the only
do.
reason why.
And Angel Reese is all over social media, so that's how I found out she had a triple-double. I didn't watch that game.
I got my Angel Reese cup, man. I'm all in.
Yeah, right.
Except for watching the games.
I watched it was Diana Taurasi when she was with Connecticut. I was rocking with her, but all of a sudden she got that talking that nonsense, and she just wasn't what I thought she would be. And I still rock with her because being a Northeast chick up there, UConn, and doing her thing up there. Rebecca Lobo was the first one I really jumped on because I thought she would be nice, and she was the first pick overall in the WNBA's history going to the Liberty. Didn't win a championship, but then Candace Parker I thought would be transcended. Brittany Griner was the one I thought would be the first player that would get, even if it was a publicity stunt, I thought she would be the first player to get an opportunity in the NBA. And we see, first of all, it's not her anymore; it's a he. And
Wouldn't have been the first. Her name's Brandon.
That's what it should have been. I know a friend of mine who ran with her when she was at Baylor because he lives in Waco as well. And he's cool with her. He didn't say anything about male or female. He just talks about things that she does. She's cool like that with him. But I thought she would be that transcendent player based on what I saw at Baylor. She was absolutely, utterly dominant. They had nothing for her. And not even Candace Parker, when I watched her play at Tennessee, was as dominant as what Brittany Griner was at Baylor. That's why I thought she would be the one. And she wasn't. And even now, she just isn't. She's been traded now. She's in Atlanta. She's just not it. I mean, seriously. And now Juju Watkins, we saw, got injured last year. So now we're never going to get 100% of her.
You never know with modern medical
man, that knee injury, man.
She might come back.
I just like to see.
I mean, I don't think her game's predicated on athleticism anyway. So
I know it's a power game, but along with that power game and those sloppy women banging on you, you might end up injured again anyway. Clumsy women just fall all over the place in the paint. I mean, that's what it seems with those people when they would playing in the WNBA. It's just not an efficient league. Is it really entertaining to watch, or do you watch it because of the novelty? And I think it is a novelty because she's doing something so unicornish. It's more of a novelty what Caitlin Clark is doing. People are watching it. You saw how the numbers crashed by 55% when she didn't play. This is for the entire league. She played for one team.
Well, that's why I say when someone else starts shooting logo threes and dropping behind the back dimes or 60-foot cross
passes like a
passes, I'll watch them too. But I don't see anybody else doing it.
No one else is doing it. That's why when she stopped playing and she was out because of the injury, I didn't watch. That's why when she wasn't in the Olympics, it wasn't worth watching. And when they had their alleged championship game last year, who cares? The numbers prove it. When she's not playing, no one's watching. No one's worth merit. No one justifying the money they're asking for.
The money and the hype machine behind this is amazing. Anytime I go to ESPN or CBS or whatever, I'm trying to find stats. Always the first thing they've got up there is the WNBA stuff. So I don't know if this type of hype machine will continue, but I think that's been a big part of why, the TV ratings and her play have done well recently.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard, there's a report stating they're investigating the referees targeting Caitlin, not giving her the calls that
they've been doing that since last year.
But now they're looking into it. We talked about it. We talked about it last year. Like, I don't know what there's to investigate. You watch, you see.
Well, we saw it last year when she was damn near concussed, and they act like they didn't see anything. Get up. Yeah, that's all they said.
Man, they're not protecting the golden goose. That's not.
And they need to. I can't believe a league that's been subsidized for nearly 30 years now had not made a profit, even though they've been subsidized by the NBA for all of these years. They finally get something that's going to possibly get them $1 billion contract and finally help their salaries overall. And they're just all out to get rid of her, hurt her, whether it's physically or just talking about her, trying to talk down about her. I don't even know why Angel Reese is even synonymous with Caitlin Clark, regardless of what they did in college. College means absolutely nothing. We could talk about all these collegiate. We could talk about all these collegiate players who won championships in college and didn't do a damn thing in the NFL or the NBA, and it's all the same.
Yeah, Molly Kiram didn't get the memo. You're supposed to promote her.
Who?
Molly Kiram.
Good question.
Part of the haters squad.
Yeah.
Who?
Molly Kiram.
I heard you. Right? I just say who?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, kind of like a little Ja Rule and 50 Cent there. Who?
No, I've made my feelings known about Molly Kiram in the past. She is the most annoying person on TV. I cannot stand her.
Yeah, you told me that. Now I know why.
What do you remember me telling you? Watch out for the Pacers.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get that video. I'm gonna find that.
Do you
video
remember me saying that?
Maybe.
Yeah, when I was in Thailand, right? Before I was.
Yeah, you were on hiatus
when I was on hiatus with all that sickness and death.
The playoffs were coming, and I said, "Watch out for the Pacers." And I don't know. I was like, man, they stepped the game up.
I'll admit,
they stepped the game up in the playoffs, and look what
I'll admit, I was skeptical. I didn't see.
I didn't have them going to the finals, but I did say, watch out for the Pacers.
Yeah, I thought Detroit had an inside track.
Detroit. I mean, not yet. They will eventually, but not just yet. I don't think they were doing anything to even insinuate they were having that. They were going to be that team.
Well, they made the playoffs, and I thought they had a chance, and I thought Houston looked good on the other side. So I was off
with the second best record in the NBA. Houston better look pretty damn good, like they were able to do something. And
right.
This is just
I
the
was
beginning.
hoping to see them in OKC in the final. It just didn't happen in the West.
So anyway. So I guess we'll get the football talk at another time because the game 5 is now. It's coming up in a little bit. It's coming on in a little bit. Game 5 coming from OKC. I have a friend of mine who's out there with the NBA right now in OKC. So he was praying for this game because
I'm taking the Pacers and the 9.5, and I think they win outright.
Well, I'm going to take OKC only because they seem like they figured something out on the road.
When the defense is favored by 9.5.
Yeah.
Well, according to
according to the Vegas, I got it right on Vegas.
In OKC.
I'm just going. If it's going by the line, I'll take Indiana 9.5. But as far as the outright win, take the money line, the easy money. Just go with OKC. I think. Now I will hope that Indiana does win. I don't have a problem with either team, but I hope Indiana does win because I rock with Tyrese Halliburton. I like that.
And let me say this about that. I've been saying OKC for the long time because I thought they were the best team, and I still do. But I think it would be amazing to have Indiana win such basketball tradition. You know that
exactly. I just said that.
And even the older guys, just really unsung heroes, Turner, guys like that who've been around for a while. I think it would be amazing.
Turner might want to start contributing to make it happen, though.
Yeah, right. Stop using that sickness as an excuse. You got to get out there and play and close the show or help close the show.
Yeah, he needs to step it up. But so does my
guy.
To
help his own cause.
So does my guy from Oklahoma. Jalen Williams hadn't done much yet either. So
he was playing well.
He made some plays. He made some play the other night. Got some 3-pointer that they spoke on. Come on.
I wanted him for MVP though. I'm not sure he's in the running.
Well, hey, I had Chet Holmgren if the OKC did win, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Even if the Pacers win, a case could be made for SGA right now at this point in time.
It'll be like the NFL, right?
I don't know how the rest of the game's going to play out, but let's say the Pacers win in 6 and Shea drops 38 and 34 in both games. Who's going to get it for the Pacers?
Siakam.
Because it's a team effort on their side.
In the semifinals against the Knicks, he got it, so I guess he'll get it again because he's still scoring a lot of points when he does score the points. But Halliburton with those shots and still doing the field general thing and still getting 15 assists, not recently, but I think that he's good for a game like that tonight. And his turnovers kind of went up a little bit last game. When you think about him, you think about not turning it over as much, and especially the way he handles the ball as much as he does. You would expect more turnovers.
The one where he let Caruso just rip him right in front of him.
Caruso, bro.
I don't care how great a defender he is. You should not let a dude rip you. Not when he's right in front of you. You can't get ripped with the guy standing in front of you.
Yeah, he did. He got a little nonchalant with the ball and just got ripped. You can't be nonchalant with a pain in the butt like Caruso. He's going to go after it.
Yeah,
Caruso's been going after it.
Those white boys are nasty out there because you got Caruso on one side and then you've got TJ McConnell. They will steal your lunch money if you don't keep your eyes on it.
They get a little rhythm going. They could just sneak by and get that little game.
Tell McConnell to stop dribbling into the paint, picking up his dribble, and then trying to shoot that broke-ass turnaround.
The broke turnaround that doesn't go in. And last year that was his shot, but not
last year.
Yeah, I mean, last year
it ain't working against OKC. Stop.
No, it's not. That defense is putting it on him in the paint area is not where he should be doing it anyway. But anyway, let's shut it down because, the game's about to come on soon in the OKC. And we'll have this to talk about again on Thursday. And the way things have been going lately, I'm sure there'll be more that's going to happen just between the little time between now and Thursday. We'll talk about whatever it is that's coming through the pipeline. Then,
baby football.
That's the late coming Sky. Now I'm Trav, and the Sports Bag Bros podcast will be back on Thursday. But until next time, deuces.
See ya.